Hello, welcome to Focus on Fantasy Romance, episode number 24, a podcast where we talk about books, genre, industry, and our geeky lives. I am your host, Elle. Today I am joined with A.R. DeClerc.
Hello.
Ishabelle, she's waving, and Paulina Woods.
Yo, yo.
And today we are talking about writer's block, which is something that if you try to write anything, you've experienced, even if it's a school paper or the fiction that we write. I totally saw you picking your nose, Ish. I will warn you that I have put some whiskey in my coffee, so I'm going to be a little more sassy than normal. And probably very giggly. I have no problem starting unless someone wanted to start with how they deal with writer's block, or the craziest thing you've ever done to get rid of writer's block. When I first started writing, one of the most common excuses for me to not write is writer's block, or I would say I'm waiting for my muse. I'm waiting for inspiration to write, which might be why it took 7 years before I actually published anything. So as I developed my writing habits and said, hey, well, I actually want to write more so that I can publish more, I basically had to give a big STFU to writer's block and said nobody got time for that. So if I find that I'm working on something and I can't focus, or the story is not working, or I've deleted the same paragraph 5 times, I will do something else. I will read. Reading is really great. I will listen to new music. I will watch movies. I will go knit. I know that doesn't sound very productive. I'm going to have a visitor. There he goes. And but honestly, I've been hearing this terminology kind of through the industry that you have to refill your creative well. So if you're writing, you're emptying your well, you're not doing anything to kind of recharge, and so you're going to hit a wall. You're going to basically be empty. So a lot of times I will do something fun, do something for me. And there's also other reasons that you get writer's block. One of which would be your characters aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's kind of they're not working towards their goal. Like you've written them into a loop or into a corner. So there's something wrong with your story. I think everybody can agree to that. If you've got writer's block and you know kind of where you need to go, but you can't get there, then something technically isn't working. So you have to kind of reassess where you wanted the story to go and how you plan on getting there. So there's actually, I would say there's 2 different kinds of writer block for me. One is when I've written myself empty, like I've no creative juice left. I'm dried up parchment. And the other one is when I'm trying to make a story work that doesn't actually work. Like the characters are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like they're acting out of character, or the plot doesn't make any sense. I'm going to pass this off to Amy, who looks like she's got her nose stuck in her phone. No, unmute yourself.
No, I'm good. Actually, yeah, I have experienced both a time or two. For me, a lot of times I find myself bored of what I'm working on at the moment, and it's not particularly that I don't still love the story, I don't still love the characters, but I'm just not 100% sure that, I like that excitement of starting something new, and so when it becomes a few weeks, days, months, whatever into the process on a certain project, I hit a lull, I guess. And so I either have completely dried myself out as far as creativity goes, or I'm ready to move on to something new, but I know I can't because I have this, and I don't work on more than one project at once. So sometimes I kind of get angry at the project I'm working on, and I'm like, I should just quit. But I'm also too stubborn to do that. So I will hold off until I get a flare of inspiration again for the story that I'm currently working on. And that's part of the reason that I don't write series in general, is because I get tired of the same storyline, the same characters, the same universe. A lot of times I get tired of the same genre very quickly. I like to be constantly flexing my muscles, my writing muscles, and doing something different and new and exciting. And sometimes when I'm in a series, I have a specific tone or a specific style that, you know, needs to be carried. And so a lot of times I will jump around, and it's not good. Writer ADD. But I'm also, like I said, I'm stubborn and I don't like to work on more than one thing at a time. So I sometimes get aggravated with myself because I'm ready to move on to something new and do something different, and I can't because I'm still working on project A and I'm ready for project B. So a lot of times, what do I do to like get out of that? I do a lot of the same things that Elle does. I don't knit. I'm not that smart or dexterous. I'm not sure which. I can't do a whole lot of things at once with my hands and my eyeballs. But I've tried to knit, and I'm left-handed, and it screws me up every time. I can't even watch a YouTube video and learn how to do it because they're all right-handed. But there is a left-handed knitter YouTube video that I saw, so I'm going to give it a shot again. Someday I'll learn. I'll make a scarf or something someday for my dog, maybe. But I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of writing. It's kind of like my second job that I really don't get paid that much to do. But I still trudge there every day, even though I'm cursing and complaining that I'm going to work. I still do it. And everything that I do that's not outside my normal day job, which is in healthcare, is basically centered around either writing or learning about writing or, you know, reading for writing or social media for writing. So occasionally I just have to say, Amy, that's enough. You need to take a day off and not do any of that stuff. And then I'll watch like my guilty pleasure stuff. So like I'll do Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, or I'll do Sherlock, or I'll do, and then, you know, here I am thinking about all the things that I could write that are all like this. So I have writer brain. Yeah, so I don't drink a whole lot, but that might help. So I probably need to explore that option a little more. Haven't. But and I don't drink coffee, so that's another issue probably. I do like Dr. Pepper. It's the nectar of the gods, if anyone asks me. I like to listen to music. I love YouTube. I'm obsessed. I get obsessed with certain things, and I watch them over and over and over again. Oh, I don't know what just happened, but it wasn't good. And so my computer just made a funny noise. But anyway, so those are all the things I do if I get stuck or I get bored. I just kind of probably ride the carousel around and around again a few times until, you know, it starts to be fun again, I guess. Paulina has a few hobbies that she actually does, though. I know that when she doesn't feel like writing, she kicks back with like different stuff. And she's probably, she's telling me not to tell all of her secrets, but I'm going to let her tell you all her secrets.
I thought you were going to talk for me. I'm like, okay. I said I have to, never mind. I'm like, I have to run the restroom, but not right now. I used to didn't believe in writer's block. I kind of still don't. Because I don't get writer's block. I just get lazy. I have to admit, like, I just bought a new video game 2 weeks ago. Mass Effect Andromeda, so that's what I'm playing. So I know I should be writing, but I'd rather save the world. So, and like sometimes I'll sit down to write, if I'm at home, I have trouble writing. And it's not writer's block, it's just, it's boring here and it's quiet. But if I'm at work, I can bust out up to 3,000 words in a night just because I write in between guests. And and I guess because I'm irritated, so words are flowing. If I go to a coffee shop, it's only about 15, maybe. Not 15 words, 1,500 words. So I mean, I don't really get writer's block because I have how many? Oh my God, science fiction, fantasy. I got like 7 books open right now, waiting to be written. So if I get bored, I just go to the next one. Then if I get bored again, I go to the next one. So I probably have to finish one. But so I don't think I have writer's block. I have writer's overload. So then I get to the point where I'm so overwhelmed with all the worlds that I go find something else to do. So yeah, my escape, I guess, when I get overwhelmed is I just go play video games or read. But I haven't read a good book in a while. That's the sad part. And I bought one. I have Christian Feehan's new book. I just haven't read it. And I know that another book came out that I want to read and just haven't read it. I bought them, but I haven't read them yet. What else do I do? Like, if that happens to me, I mean, I've seen authors talk about it where they can't write for weeks, and I'm like, well, I don't write for weeks, but it's not because I don't know what I want to write. I'm lazy. I'd rather go to sleep than write, or I'd rather do something else than write. The words are there, the story's there. I just don't want to do it. Which is probably not a good way to. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm telling you guys, I just don't want to do it. I'm lazy, but I still turn out. I think I turn out enough to make the work work, but not enough to actually be as productive as I should be. But if I got rid of certain like video games and computer games, I'll probably just be a lot more productive. But for now, I'll just blame it on writer's block. Okay. Oh wait, Elle, do you have something?
Well, I was just gonna say that if you take out all the other things that you enjoy to do, you're going to run into a wall. Like I said, you're emptying your creative well, and you're going to try to sit down and write, and you're like, I have nothing to inspire me. I have no creativity because I've written it all down on the page and I haven't refilled it with anything else.
So maybe my laziness is a way of keeping my well filled.
Yeah, it's probably just a balance. It's a balance.
It's fun. Video games.
Well, I'll work and no play, make Elle a dull girl. So, Ish.
I don't think I necessarily have writer's block. I have lazy ass most of the time. And it's not necessarily lazy ass and I just don't feel like doing anything. I have a lot that I do. And I sit in front of my desk a lot for work. And then, with kids and, doing their projects and whatnot. Sometimes I just don't want to sit at my desk. And I've tried the handwriting approach. I can't read my own damn writing, so it gets me nowhere. I think that sentence said and it's like this long. But so I think I have more of a mentality sometimes. But I do also have, like Elle said, there's times that I have written my characters into a corner or a loop. Frustrated. So I have writer frustrating. It's not that I have block, I just get frustrated and I can't move on until I fix that one little loop. But I'm so mad and irritated that I can't get back to it. So what do? I open another project until I find myself in the same circle. So it's just never-ending vicious cycle. I think a lot of my issues are distractions. I've said before, once I turn Netflix on or something, I'm done. I'm done for the day. It doesn't matter what I got to do. I'm done. Kid, you need dinner? What? It's done. I also base my writing time, which I know a lot of authors do, and I know you guys do too. I base it around what I consider to be free time. You know, this is my work schedule, this is this, so I don't get writing there. But when you have children or, you know, family members or things to do, well, I have an appointment, you know, this week Thursday. Guess what? Thursday's off the books. Because if I know I can't dedicate a whole day to doing what I need to do or the hours I need to, I don't even try, because it just, you're frustrated. You know, I hate to sit down and try to write and get as many words as I can in a short period. I want to write until I want to stop. So I don't know if I necessarily have writer's block, because I definitely have writer's brain. There's always stuff churning in there. It doesn't matter what project, if it is. If I get stuck in a loop, or project, and you know what, I think I figured this out. So, but it's a matter of doing it. And sometimes I just don't necessarily have the time or the oomph to do it, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that helped me transform from what I call a casual writer to, I don't know, an author was NaNoWriMo. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I think that that was what actually got me off my duff to write. And there's a lot of criticism of the program. And my takeaway from winning it as often as I have is it just teaches you good writing habits. So if you have word goals every day to be able to win this challenge. So if you don't have your butt in chair, hands on keyboards, you know, enough time, you're not going to win. And it kind of teaches you to push past the writer's block or the self-doubt. I think the founder of the program calls it the inner editor, and that's the desire to go back and fix what you've written. And a lot of people in the industry will say you can always go back and edit. You can't go back and edit something that's not written. So you have to get it down on the page. And well, everyone's got their own way of doing things. Amy just posted in the chat that she edits as she writes. But if I know that if I'm writing and I try to go back and fix too many things, I get like stuck in a loop. Like, oh, this isn't perfect. This isn't perfect. I gotta go back over it again and fix it again. And a lot of time, one of the big misconceptions about editing when people first start out is that editing is moving around of commas and periods and punctuation. That is not. That's one level of editing, but that's the final level of editing. That's not the going back and fixing, hey, you said she had blue eyes, but she's got green eyes over here. Or you said that they needed to take the ring to this volcano in this section, but then they needed to take the sword over out of the stone over there, you know. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're writing a large piece. And if you bog yourself down with going back and fixing every detail, you're never going to get that sucker done. Like what I ended up doing with some of my longer pieces is I would just write myself notes. Like, where did his sword go? Like I'm writing through this big thing. I'm like, he had a sword. Where did it go? Or, you know, why did so-and-so, what's the significance of this necklace that you make a point to bring up in chapter 2? And then I don't worry about it, because if I worry about it, I get, like I said, stuck in a loop. I go back. And then nothing ever gets done. So NaNoWriMo is not necessarily a standard of writing a novel, but it does definitely teach you to get past your own inner editor and get the words done. There's no way that, like, with my life now, I can't do NaNoWriMo. It's just too crazy. Full-time job, 2 kids, husband that works odd hours. There's no way I could do it, but it still taught me good habits to write as often as I can in the space that I have, and to shut up that stupid inner editor. Has anyone else done the NaNoWriMo? Or have any problems with that?
I did Nano 2 years in a row, I think. It was okay. It helped me finish the project I was currently working on in both instances. I think one was Enchanter's Embrace. I finished during a NaNoWriMo because I had started and I had about 2,000 or 3,000 words going when Nano started. The second year, I think I started a project. I mean, I got the 50,000 words or whatever, but it wasn't a full novel at that point. But I didn't mind NaNoWriMo. I have the inkling that distractions are part of my problem. So I like to write when I have music on, but I also like to watch YouTube videos. And so if I turn on like the best voice auditions of 2017 and then I look up and it's 10 p.m. and I'm like, son of a gun, I just wasted all my writing time. So yeah, getting rid of distractions is important for me. I try to have a set like place I go to write. So like I like my couch and I have a laptop, so it's not like I'm stuck to my desk. But I like to have my headphones on. I like to have music, you know, and I usually do it after dinner, every night on weeknights. Like try to set like a pace for myself, you know, like that doesn't mean that I don't cheat and skip sometimes and like I'm too tired, I'm just gonna go to bed, I'm just gonna lie in bed and watch Supernatural, or you know, like those little things that I whisper to myself, you'll be fine, you'll make up for the word count tomorrow, Amy. No, you won't, bitch, you get to work. You know, like I need that little devil on my shoulder who's whipping me sometimes to keep me in line as far as maintaining my habits. And I would prefer it if I write pretty fast to start with, which is okay. I do edit as I go, which we had mentioned before, and it does slow down the process. However, I'm too much of a perfectionist, and I don't like to revise after my first draft is done, and that's really bad of me, and it's something that I've had to swallow as I have become more and more published, is that, you know, content revisions are necessary. And I don't like to leave a lot of plot holes, and I don't like things to go to my beta readers or to my editors, my like line and punctuation type editor people, until all the holes have been filled in. So that's another thing that will sometimes trip me up because I am tying up all the loose ends that maybe I could let my editor do, but I don't want her to think I'm an idiot, so I prefer to tie those all up before they go to her. So yeah, so those are some of the pitfalls I think of being a little bit of a slacker plus a little bit of a perfectionist, like all tied up into one human body. It's kind of a duality that gets me in trouble a lot because I really want things to be perfect, but I'm too lazy to work on it right now.
And that's quite the contradiction.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I really want this to be the best story ever. I'll work on it tomorrow. It'll be great tomorrow. And yeah, so once I have a fire under me about a certain story, I can whip it out pretty fast and things come pretty fast, and I write linearly, so I write from start to finish and I don't jump around and things come fairly quickly, but I have to get that push to get me going down the hill, I guess. Paulina posted in the chat she has something she'd like to say.
Yeah, and then you continue talking, so then I start looking in one of my notebooks, and now I have a story idea that I think is more important. But I was gonna say that one of my, I think, problems is at work I write in these like little notebooks. I have a bunch of them. I think just sitting around me I have, okay, they shouldn't be on the floor, but I have like 7 around me right now. And I just pick one up as I'm walking out the door and take it with me. So then I end up like right now my science fiction's on hold only because I know in one of these books is a really, really amazing scene. I can't find it. I can't remember which of these books I picked up and took to work. So that's another one that's deterrent. Not so I'll stop writing for like a week because I can't find that one scene. It's an excuse, I know. But right now, as I'm sitting here listening to you talk, I was looking, going, "Oh, this might be the one with the scene."
Paulina, you
Sorry.
you literally write in those notebooks and then you take them home and type them into your manuscript on the computer, right?
Yes, but I usually do it. I write all week and then I type on Thursdays. That way it's continued. Because let's say if I write in it and then I come home and I type on the computer, I might add something. So then when I go back to write, I have to try to remember where I left off in the computer. So instead of doing it that way, I just write all the time in this all week and then Thursday, put it all in there and then add on. It's so that it continues. Because I found when I was doing Stone Guardian, my very first book, I found that it didn't even read continuously. I was reading it going, what the hell was that? And it's because I would do something else on the computer and then come home and read, and I was like, it was all over the place. So
have you ever tried like a dictation software? Are you interested in that? Or do you like writing longhand?
I have to do this at work. I'm in front of guests. I'm serving drinks all day. There's no, my boyfriend told me to put the one where the microphones go here, and I'm like, yeah, okay. People really think I'm crazy. And then he walks slowly down the hall. They're like, ma'am, hold on, I'll get you your coffee in a minute. So, like, this is just an easier way of doing it, for me anyway. But I'm cool. I just found the opening scene to Dragon's Mark. Yes, I've been looking for that for a long time. So, but I think that's kind of a little bit of my problem, is because I have so many of these books. So my boyfriend did suggest what I should do is take all of them right now, go buy new ones, take all of them I have right now, put them on my bookshelf, don't write on them again, and then use the new ones and start marking them off. Like, okay, this until I finish this one, I don't write into another one. Until I finish. That way I kind of know where everything is. And I'm thinking of going ahead and following his suggestion without telling him, because then he'd be like, I know I was right.
So like each notebook is for one specific story, right? No. Is that what you're saying?
Just until I finish it. So then I I pretty much know what book I'm working on for a month, because my brain works that way. Like I'll work on one story for 2 weeks at work, because that's where my inspiration is right now. But then, like, and even if I try to switch gears, because my science fiction is first person, my other ones are third person, like, so even if I try to switch gears, sometimes my brain won't do it. And I mark on the beginning of each page the day that I did it and the story it's under. So that's not the problem. Problem is I just forget the book and then I'm looking for that scene. But as long as I know that, okay, I wrote last month, I can go look up that story, because it's on the top that says either, Dragon's Maid or whatever it is, it's right there. So, like, it's an interesting way of doing it. But, like, yeah, I gotta learn to organize it, because I'm sitting here looking at all the books going, you've got to be kidding me. And I still need that scene. So I think that's one of the hindrances that kind of happens to me, is because I do have it that when I could go on my computer, because I have them all open, all the tabs. I'm the only one that uses this computer. All the tabs for each story that I'm working on right now, which is like 5 books, like I said. But again, if I write on them and I find that scene, I feel that I have to go. I feel I have to go back again and rewrite it, because I'm like, okay, well, and again, it slows down your productivity, because then I'll go back 5 or 6 chapters to put that scene back in that doesn't necessarily need to be there anymore, but I like it. So yeah, I think that just slows down my productivity a little bit. Probably should fix that tomorrow. Wow, we're talking about woohoo.
I think
Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was turning it over to you.
I was gonna say, something I see in common, I'm guilty of it myself, and as Amy was talking, it's the perfectionist thing. I think writers especially newer writers, and perhaps I'm going to guess several seasoned writers as well, you have that just little niggle of self-doubt in there. Yeah, you know, and I think that can definitely halt progress and give a form of writer's block, because I don't know how many times we've all done it. Oh my God, I'm writing, I'm editing. Why does this, book suck? It's not because we need attention. It really does suck to us at that moment. And it could be because we have gone over it so many times in our head. So it goes back to, we get either bored with it, we're paranoid suddenly, it's the worst idea ever, in history. So you don't work on it. And then, well, self-doubt can lead to, well, why should I just write anything, because everything I write is crap. Done it myself. I dropped stories because I suddenly felt my character's hair was too blonde, and then I got depressed. It happens. It does. So I think a lot of people that have writer's block too, aside from running into a roadblock within the story, can come from self-doubt. Because we write because we have to. We do. We have been doing it. Here's me going into history mode, just to warn you. We write because we have to. We have written for thousands of years to communicate one way or another, to keep records of our grain. We started off with cuneiform. We evolved and we discovered we can make stories up. Yay, entertainment. So we write because we have to. It is something I believe that is hardwired into everybody more so than others. But where the hell was I going with this? But as we write, there's always that little, who's going to read this? Do you think the people in ancient Egypt who wrote those wonderful poems thought we would be sitting here today reading that stuff? And I think as a society, we are a very judgmental society. We are. So, and even though it's thousands of years away, what if somebody finds one of our books out there in the backyard, digs up, and they're like, oh my God, this is crap. We think about that stuff subconsciously, I believe. So I really think self-doubt causes a lot of issues.
I agree. It does. Like you said, sometimes you're writing and you think to yourself, when you finish that paragraph, you're like, what the hell was that? And on that topic, like on my book 4, I've decided to put my witches on hold. Maybe my book 4, I've started like 4 times and deleted over altogether maybe 50,000 words. Just threw them out because I'm like, they're crap. And so maybe that is a little bit more self-doubt, and I should just be like, okay, it's good. Finish the story. Maybe somebody will let me know if it's crap, and I don't have to let myself know.
Yeah, just get the book done. If you've written a large chunk, finish writing it, send it to beta readers, or find a peer that will read it and give you the honest God truth. But yeah, if you've already dedicated a lot of time to it, get it done.
I already deleted it.
Oh. Well, you should technically have the hard copy because you write those notebooks. Because like I said, you can edit. You can edit something that's written. You can't edit something that's not written.
I think there's there's 2 schools of author thought. If I stand back and I don't count myself in the author pool and I look out at all the people that I know in the author world, both as a reader and, as their peer, I think there's 2 schools of author thought. And we've had this discussion before. There are the people who think they're amazing and they don't care what anybody else says, and they don't take any advice from editors. They don't need content editors. God forbid they have a plot hole. And their characters are perfect just the way they are. And the most they need is a proofreader at the very least. And they're going to whip these books out, and everyone should buy them and be grateful that they got them. That's one school of author thought. And the other school of author thought is, I want to create a quality product for my reader that elicits an emotional response, a cerebral response. I want them to actually, like, their brain cells to fire in their head. And I want, readers to come back and say, I would like to read another book by me. So I think you have people who are in it for the literary and creative, and people who are in it for the cash. So it depends on which school of author thought you are. If you're in it for the cash, you want to write as fast as you can, as much as you can, and quality isn't your top priority.
True.
If you're in it for the creative literary side, and that doesn't mean that one side is better than the other. I'm not taking sides on it, because I know what kind of author I am, and whatever kind of author everybody else is their own business. It's not mine. But as a reader, I can tell you that I am absolutely, positively, 100% able to tell the difference of an author who only cares about the cash and an author who cares about the product. So, and I don't think that I'm the only reader out there who's able to tell that. You see it a lot of times in 1-star reviews where they're like, this book needs a proofreader, this book doesn't make any sense, this book, is trope after trope after trope after trope. That person who put that book together put it together for one reason only, and that's so people would purchase it and they would make money. So I think that, like, sometimes that's where I get caught up in the whole perfectionism thing, is because I don't want readers to judge me like I judge other authors as a reader. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want them to say, oh my God, this chick is dumber than a box of rocks. She doesn't know how to string 2 sentences together and put a period in the middle and call it a gosh darn paragraph. Like, I don't want them to say that about me. So I feel sometimes like I love my books until I'm ready to publish them. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just put my baby on the chopping block. Here it goes. I'm going to strap in. Need to be ready, because they're going to tear me a new asshole. Like, you know what I mean? I start feeling that way, and I get heart palpitations, and I worry, and I don't sleep at night. And then I get like a good review, and I'm like, oh my God. I start to cry because it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? So I think, like, it just depends on what kind of author you are and what your main, like, down the road foreseeable goal is for your work as to how you approach that whole perfectionism bit too.
So the kind of takeaway is determine your own path and find out what works for you and stick to it.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do. I'm not here to tell you not to do what you want to do. I'm not your mother. What you do is your business. But I think readers are not dumb.
No.
I can tell the difference between a book that has really had some time spent on it and a book that was hot off the press and went straight from the author's hands to the publishing block. I and don't get me wrong, I think there are extremely talented authors out there who could pull a perfect manuscript off their computer and publish it, but they're very few and very far between. And I think readers know. I mean, I know, so I'm pretty sure other readers are able to tell a difference too. So I just think that's important for authors to remember when they're thinking about, like, what's my goal.
Paulina, did you have something to add? No, you're just like, okay. I think that we've covered the topic fairly well, and some of us are getting squirrely.
No, just read the chat.
I know. So thank you for joining us. If you like the podcast, please comment, like, and share. This has been episode 24. Have a good night.